Hi, welcome back. It's Laura at Hyperstamper. Before I jump into this beautiful junk journal, I just want to make a quick announcement that I have been notified that my journals, because of the way that they're made with not using any commercial products, they qualify for exemption of tariffs, all tariffs under the Canada, US, Mexico agreement. So the prices are now reflected in my Etsy shop. You'll see they're 35% less now because that's what the tariff was on Canada, and shipping continues with my courier using US Postal Service to America. And for everybody else in the world, it's business as usual. So thanks for watching. This is actually an upgrade from an existing junk journal I did. I wanted to snazz it up a bit because a dear friend of mine in the States sent me some French letters. Now this one here is from 1938, and this is a French cover. Doesn't mean that it's a French theme inside, but it's a beautiful French cover. Le Petit Chardonnel, it's a French school book, French studies book. And I made a pocket here, and in it I used this 1938 image of the Eiffel Tower from another Le Petit Chardonnel book that I have. And then this here is from a French publication, Mon Journal, the first journal for children. And I love that. So you'll see that inside this beautiful little letter here is a little card that was sent in 1938 to Mr. and Mrs. Tariffs. And it says, "I am sending you wishes for a happy new year." And I think that is just lovely. Look at those beautiful roses on there. I couldn't copy that if I tried. It's just absolutely perfect with the gold lettering, and that is completely authentic. So thank you, Paige, for sending me these beautiful letters. And then I've got some beautiful trim down the sides. I've got some vintage beads here, and I have a tie on this one. So let's just open it up, and I'll move my quill and opera glasses and show you the beautiful things that are stuffed inside here. And as you all know, if you follow me, everything in here is real, authentic, antique and vintage ephemera. I don't use any commercial products or digitals ever. So you get a real journey through history. That is an antique postcard there that I didn't like the cover of it. And so I turned it around and made it into a pocket. And this here is from 1933. And it's just a really fabulous cooking page. Better Cookery. First I thought it said Better Betty Crocker. So that's a really fun piece, and this is from a 100-year-old children's exercise book, Fun at the Farm. That's a page from 1930s, and that is also a Fun with Dick and Jane page, and those are very hard to come by, but there you go. And you'll see a little bit more of that in a bit. This is from a 1904 botanical book, and that's called The Blue Flags Flower. And here is more of that Fun with Dick and Jane page with the horses. There's Dick. Go fast, I want a fast ride. Go little pony, go fast. I love it. This is from my Connie Francis 1950s paper doll cutouts, and this is one of her outfits here that somebody cut out very expertly, I must say, and it's exquisite. I love that. And then here's a 1927 advertisement from a catalog for rouge and powders, soap. Really pretty. And then this is a vintage dictionary page, and this is a gorgeous plate out of an antique book that I've added antique paper on the back of, so you have an extra journaling space there. And here I've got a 1949 photograph. Look at this couple, but what I love are the trucks in the background and the font, Weston. Isn't that great? Oh, I just love it so much. And that is, I've left the paper on from the photo album that it came out of. And 2 bits of vintage Monopoly money, so you can journal on the back of that. A pocket I made out of an antique song sheet. And here is another envelope, and this one here is from, it says here September 10, 1887. And then somebody wrote on here 1888. And inside there was no letter, so yeah, there's the 1888 there, which is incredible, right? And then this here is just an antique drawing that I wanted to put inside just because it fit in here quite nicely. And this is another gorgeous plate. Look at at this one. That is just beautiful. That is a gorgeous, what do I want to say? A streetscape of all the little cafes here. And I just love it from the medieval era. There we go there, with journaling paper on the back as well from an antique book. 1920s plate here. Very, very colorful and fun. And then I've got this really hilarious, I find this from the 1950s, and I believe this is Betty Crocker cookbook. Look at that hilarious cake. That just cracks me up so much. I love the colors and the way they used the photography back then. And this is just a great little blank on one side. This is from an A. Milne book, and you can see Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin all over there. Everybody loves Winnie the Pooh, right? And then this is from the early 1900s from a book on strawberries. So if you've seen these before, it's not a duplicate. It's just that there were a lot of different kinds of strawberries in the book. And Stacy, if you're watching, I think of you every time I see a strawberry piece of ephemera. She loves strawberries. And then this is a sweet little plate from Beatrix Potter. It's actually what plate on each side from the Peter Rabbit books from the 1930s. Those plates are from. And then another great 1920s piece here. Work and play. Look at this wonderful plate here of the mother and her 4 children. I just love it. And that is a royal family. A 1930s flinch card and a 1960s payday card that you can upcycle and have fun with, make your own clusters. And here's a hand-typed research paper typed in the early 1900s regarding some research from 1894. And this is a piece of the cover of a children's school book. And then I made this tag here that you can journal on from a great ad from the early 1900s. And here is a wonderful piece. You could actually, I can feel on here that this probably would still work. You could do a little test with it. And it is an iron-on. See down here it says trial, so you can try it first. And you would iron onto your linen or your tea towels, pillowcases, and then do your cross stitch on it. And that's a really pretty little treasure there. I get requests to add those to my journals sometimes because they're really fun. And that is a vintage Trees of America page. And then this little postcard here, this is what photographers used to offer in their packages, is that you could get your photographs put onto postcards so that you could send them overseas. And that is Mabel. And vintage, I just love all the vintage clusters and pieces in here. I've got a ledger page here. And then this is a 1920s snap card and vintage stamps here, international stamps, and up here as well, that's Canada. And a 1950s doily page. And this is just a really sweet little page that is blank on the back from a children's book from the 1940s. The Heart's Desire, that was a journal I did a while back. One of the pages from inside. And here is an early 1900s palmistry book. Isn't that cool? And that is a famous lawyer, M. Curtis Esquire. That is his palm. And then in this pocket, there's a great little pocket set here. I just got a book with my cutoffs. You can do extra journaling in that little booklet. And then a Birds of America page here. These are all different gulls. And this is all made out of a quad pocket here from a 1955 stamp collector's page. And in here, in this little doily piece here, I've got an antique transit ticket. And this is another great page from the 30s. And a beautiful plate here from 1904 again. And a little pocket hiding under here with a pearl shopper seam in it from the 50s that you can journal all over. And here. And this is a 1840s Hogarth steel etching. Another one of these beautiful 1950s doily pages. And this is awesome from the 1800s, the Lady's Letter Writer. And this letter here, let's see what this one is, to teach you how to write proper like a lady, a petition for a place in the Inland Revenue Office. So basically how to apply for a job, which not a lot of young ladies did that in the 1800s, but this is just a really cool piece that was found inside of a vintage hairdryer, the little card that you would get with that, which is hilarious. And I just really like this pocket page title here, The Family, from an antique book. The vintage botanical page from a gardening book from the 70s. Another 1950s page from Black Beauty, handwritten early 1900s thesis page. Someone Who Loved Her. That's a beautiful little pocket there. And then just another blank antique page here, anthology at the top of there. And another journaling card here from The Egg and I. I just love that so much. And that is 80 years old, that one. Another blank piece here. And this is a fantastic map here from the early 1900s. Gorgeous colors, really well done. A lot of this has changed, so it's really fascinating to see how the borders have changed over the last 100 years. And then we've got some beautiful crochet here just to embellish. And this is a gorgeous antique spine of a book. The book just could not be saved, but I loved the spine, and I turned it into a belly band and added an antique page here for more journaling space. I just love it. And that brings us to the end. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making this one. It's in my Etsy shop now, hyperstamper.etsy.com. Feel free to email me. It's in the description below. Subscribe and come back soon. Bye for now.